Hi, it's Dorothy Guinan with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'm participating in Janet Fritz's monthly YouTube collaboration, Stretch the Sketch. In this series, we start with a 12 by 12 sketch and then we alter it. We either shrink it or we stretch it. Here's the sketch we're playing with in June. It's really nice and it's designed by Marcia Dehn-Nix. Below, you're going to find links to all the other participants, so be sure to check out what they do with it. My plan is to use it as a jumping off point and stretch it into this 5-photo double page spread. So here's what I'm going to be using. I have 49 in Market's Vintage Artistry Everywhere collection. Also, I will be digging into my tools. Everything I use will be listed in the description box below. Before jumping in, I do want to have another look at the sketch. Now, I'm not going to be using this sun, even though I absolutely love it, because my photos just don't lend to a sunny type of layout. So I'm going to be replacing that sun with a jumbo circle and some trees. The jumbo circle is going to span across the 2 pages. And if you look at the layout underneath the photos, there's a shelf. That's going to span across the 2 pages as well. And within the shelf, there are a bunch of embellishments and a title. So I'm going to try to repeat that as well on my layout. Here's what I've done so far. I've created a frame style foundation page across 2 pages with 4 papers, and I gutted 2 of them. And I did round the corners on the white cardstock. So here's the paper that I've selected. Some of them are scraps. And I also have 6 photos at this point, but I end up only using 5. So you can see at this point, I have 3 that are already matted in that blue paper. For the other photos, I want to frame them with these geotag chipboard frames that are part of this collection. I'm just showing you the package right now. I also have another chipboard embellishment pack. They are the chipboard words. I have the rub-ons for this collection. I have another embellishment pack, and I did dig into my stash from the 49 in Market Spectrum Sherbert collection. There were a lot of blues and greens, so I dug some of that out as well. And these are tickets from a 49 in Market Essentials pack. Those packs are sold in color families. So here's my basket of tools. I'm showing you this die set from Elizabeth Craft Designs. It's actually a Christmas die set, but I'm going to be using it for that tree there. I also have some alpha dies from Stampin Up, and I'll talk about these tools throughout the process. Now, the first one I'm digging out is the custom cutting system from Creative Memories, and I'm cutting out a jumbo circle. So basically I'm doing a semicircle, and I started with a paper that measured about 7.5 by 12. Now what I'm doing is cutting that circle in 2, so it's more or less 2/3, 1/3. And now I'm cutting some strips of paper. So with the strips of paper, I'm going to be creating a shelf that spans across the 2 pages. And I'm going to put measurements for all of this on the screen a little bit later on when I place them on the page. It's just going to make more sense then. If you look at the sketch, there are 2 papers, 2 banners basically, that make up the shelf on the page. So for this blue paper, for one of them, I am going to cut out a banner notched edge. So I'm going to get out a punch here. The punch I'm using is called a triple banner punch from Stampin' Up. It's old and retired, but I absolutely love it. Anyway, a banner is super easy to create with simply a pair of scissors. So before placing these papers on my foundation page, I just want to apply a bit of ink. So the ink I'm using is Morning Mist by Versifying Claire. So it's like a smoky gray, and I'm going to put it on all of these page parts before adhering them to the page. And I'm not going to make you watch all of that. In a minute, you're going to see it's all done, and I will be ready to place it on my foundation page. So the first thing I'm going to do is tape these pages together, and that mint tape is from the scrapbook.com. It's like a low tack tape, so you can put it there, and when you lift it, it's not going to rip it. I like to use it when I create double page spreads when the mat spans across the 2 pages. It just makes placement of the page parts much easier. So you can see where I'm going with this. I've got the semicircle going across the 2 pages, the shelf going across the 2 pages along with the photos. Now I'm bringing in those tickets, and those tickets, by the way, are a gift from Cindy B. She sent me a sampling of them. Like I mentioned earlier, they come in a bunch of different colors, so she sent them all to me. Thank you, Cindy, if you're watching. Anyway, they are going to be part of my shelf. Also, you can see I'm playing around with those geotag frames, so I plan to put them in the top right and bottom left, but that will come in a bit later on in the process. Right now, what I want to do is adhere these page parts to my foundation page, and you're going to see how convenient it is to have those two pages taped together. When I adhere the second half of that semicircle there, it was really nice and easy to line up. Now what I'm doing is adhering the shelf on the left-hand page. So I'm going to do it for all three papers that go in the shelf. And then what I will do is use the shelf that I've already adhered on the left as a guide for placement for the shelf on the right. It just makes things so much quicker and easier. I'm not going to make you watch all of it, but I did want to let you know how I approach doing this and how you can do it quicker. It's just much easier when you tape the pages together. I have done this with washi tape as well, but you got to be very careful with washi tape because sometimes washi tape can rip your paper. So you can see for the green tickets there on the right page, there's a space. That's because I wanted that strip to appear longer than it was. And you can see how I'm placing my photos. That empty spot is being covered up by my photo. Now what I want to do is cut out some trees. So I'm getting out this die set from Elizabeth Craft Designs. It's called Christmas Figures. So there's like snowmen, there's a nutcracker, and there are other Christmas elements as well. But I think the die I use the most is this tree. I absolutely love it, and I use it year round. So what I'm going to do is cut out 5 of them to kind of create a little forest on my page. Now the green paper I'm using is green on both sides, but one side is a little bit more washed out than the other. So when I cut these trees, I'm making sure to cut from both sides, and that's just going to give me a little bit of variation in the colors of my trees. So now I have my trees, I have my photos, I also have my geotags and the photos that need to be frames. So I am just placing everything on the page. So there I go with the trees over on the left, and then I place them on the right. Now what I'm thinking at this point is I don't want them to be at equal distance from the bottom. So the trees on the left are a little bit more towards the top, and the trees on the right are more towards the bottom. And basically for the geotags, I'm kind of doing it in the opposite. On the right, they're towards the top, and on the left, they're towards the bottom. So now I'm trying to decide what frames to put around my photos. Now at this point, I've selected 5 geotags, and that's what I think I go with, but that changes later in the process. So right now, what I'm going to do is frame these 3 photos. So you can see what I'm doing there. Basically, I'm putting the frame on top of the photo, then I traced around the frame in pencil, and now I'm cutting with my scissors. And I'm just cutting on the inside of that pencil drawn line, which will be adhered. That photo will be adhered behind the frame. And I do it with all 3 photos. Now I'm not going to make you watch me frame them all, but you can see how it's done. Basically, I'm just cutting out the photos and then adhering it behind the frames. What I also end up doing off camera is for the other 2 geotags, I did my journaling and I wrote the date in another. So with the 5 geotags at this point, 3 will be photos, 1 journaling, and 1 a spot for the date. So this is what I think I'm using right now, but again, that switches later on. You can see I've got my photos placed, the trees placed, and now I'm playing around with those geotags. Already I'm having trouble with the blue one, so I set it off to the side. And what I want to do right now is use these rub-ons. So this collection has several different sets of rub-ons. The one I have has 5 or 6 sheets in it. Some are words, some are icons, and the ones I'm using almost look like mixed media splotches. So I cut some from the paper, and I'm just playing around with placement, more or less in and around the clusters with those geotags. Once I'm happy with that, what I'm going to do is just toss the elements that are on top of it over to the side, and I'm going to rub them in the spot where I've selected. So this is my first time using them on a layout. I haven't gotten, or I haven't bought, I should say, rub-ons for probably 20 years. And I think I didn't like them before. I didn't find them that good, but these, I must say, work like a charm. I didn't have to rub that much for them to come off. And when you do apply them, there's not like an annoying plastic around the edges of them that makes them look cheap. All that I'm transferring is the color, and they work really, really well. I'm quite thrilled with them. So I do them in 2 spots on the right page, and I'm going to do it in another spot on the left page. I'm basically positioning my scissors and that little stick there just to give me an idea where I want the placement, and there I go, rubbing it in place. But really, really easy. I'm quite impressed with this product, I should say. It's been a long day for me. Anyway, back to my layout. Here I go, adhering my trees down. Then I will adhere the photo. One of those trees will overlap my photo, and then I'll come in with those geotag frames. So I'm going to basically adhere them right in that tree cluster. Now, the larger one with the photo on the left page, you're going to see me use a different adhesive for that. So I'm going to use score and tape basically. This is a chipboard frame with a photo. They're not that heavy or anything, but I just thought it needed a little bit extra tape. That's why I'm using this. And then what I will do is place the smaller one with the journaling kind of overlapping the larger one. What I did off camera as well when I framed everything is for the green geotags, I added a little bit of extra cardstock behind them because I knew I would be popping them up with foam adhesive. So that's exactly what I did with that one with the journaling. Now I'm moving on to the right page. So I'm starting with the photos. Then I will come in with the 2 trees. Again, I'm placing them towards the bottom. I want them to be different than the trees on the left page. And then I will adhere one of the 2 geotags there. So I'm adhering the largest one, once again with that score and tape, and I'm just having it overlap the photo there. At this point, I'm starting to have trouble with 2 geotags, so I'm leaving them loose. And then what I want to do is work with my title. I'm going to worry about those other 2 geotags a little bit later on. So I got out the chipboard collection there and I took out the word here. And now I'm showing you that off camera, I cut out with my die cutting machine a title, Lac Saint-Augustin, a walk around. That's what I cut out. And you can see that little piece of blue paper that I used. So I just showed you these Be Creative tape sheets. They are self-adhesive or adhesive backed sheets, I should say. And what I did was I backed the blue paper in that adhesive, and then I ran it through the die cutting machine with my alphas, and out popped these self-adhesive alphas. I love doing that. If you have a die cutting machine and if you have alpha dies, those Be Creative tape sheets are fantastic. So I know I want Lac Saint-Augustin on the left page, and on the right you can see I'm playing around with placement a bit. My alphas right now are on wax paper. That permits me to move them around a bit, and I do decide to have them kind of staggered, like you see. I'll walk around and then I will have the word here overlap the chipboard word here. So now what I'm going to do is start adhering my title down. So I want the placement of the title on the left page so that the bottom word, Augustine, is right on top of the photo. I also want all of the words to bump right up on the right-hand side of that page. For that reason, I'm starting right on top of the photo, and I'm starting at the end of the word because I'm starting at the far right. So basically, I'm spelling the word backwards. Once I'm happy with that, then I will do the very same thing with the word saint, which is going to go right on top of it. So I am going to start on the far right and once again spell the word backwards. That way I know exactly where the placement of my title will be. So I continued off camera, you can see, and on the right hand page I had already adhered the word walk. Then I adhered the word just staggered a bit to the left. And now what you see me doing is adhering the word around underneath the word walk, staggered to the right. Once that's down, then what I'm going to do is adhere the word here on foam adhesive. Now what you see me doing right now is starting to fool around with that landscape photo just above the word around. That's because I'm not liking the space that I'm seeing underneath it. I tried to move it, but the geotag on top of it was too stuck and I didn't want to rip anything, so I decided to just move forward. But things start going awry here a little bit. You can see I kind of adhered the word here a little bit bumped up. That was me attempting to fill in that spot there, but you're going to see I correct that later on. You can see I brought out a bunch more embellishing here. So I've got a lot of smaller pieces, some words, some hearts, and I'm also going to try to incorporate those geotags on my layout somewhere. So I tried those little word stickers just underneath the word Saint Augustine, but I removed them, but I do come back with them. Now I'm trying to fit in a tag just above the word around, trying to fill in that space there. Now I'm going to come in with a few hearts. Now at this point, I put them in 3 spots on the page. I put them on 2 geotags and up by the title, Lac Saint Augustin. That changes up a bit. And anyway, at this point, I am adhering them and popping them up with a little bit of foam adhesive. I am getting pretty close to done here. I still haven't done anything with that blue geotag, and I'm kind of thinking I really want to have an odd number. So at this point, I'm adhering one of them over in the top right with the little photo of the purple flower, and that's being popped up on foam adhesive, but I only have 4 of them. I do want to incorporate a 5th one, but I just don't know where to do it. So basically I walked away from my layout. I came back and I did a few tweaks, and I just want to explain them to you. First, you may notice that underneath my title, Lac Saint Augustin, I did end up adhering those chipboard words just beneath the title. I just liked it better. Also, you may notice that I ended up removing 2 of the geotags. So now I have 3 instead of 5. At least I have an odd number. Also, the date that was in one of those geotags, I ended up writing it in hand on a photo on the right page. I'm not sure if I like it, but it's there anyway. And that space that was bothering me underneath that landscape photo, what I ended up doing was I removed the tag and I managed to bring down that photo at about 1/4 inch lower. So that made it so that the space was less big. I was able to do it off camera without ripping my chipboard that I was worried about. And when I did that, I ended up moving the word here down a bit. So that corrected that area right there. And basically that's pretty much it. So I did do some tweaking, but I definitely like my page a lot more. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Don't forget to check out all the other participants. Their links are listed below. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.